King Arthur himself bestowed to me his sword. Upon his deathbed, he told me, heroes can come from anywhere.
Just like knights can come from anywhere, heroes can come from anywhere as well. I love that line. What's up, YouTubers of the world? MegaGeekMixer here to give you guys my review on this week's episode of Stargirl, where finally Courtney's character has been brought pretty much full circles at this point, because what was holding her back this entire time was her father. Yes, guys, we all know that ever since she found that staff, she got this fixated idea that her Starman was her father because he looked similar to the guy in her locket who was her real father. But finally, that part of her can finally be closed since she finally gets to meet her father in this episode. But it wasn't just meeting her father in this episode that we got. We also got a bit of an unworthy Thor storyline here. A brief one, mind you, but it was still very effective. And it also was great to see how Shining Knight explained how heroes can come from anywhere, and that Pat later on told that to Courtney to make her know that what makes a hero doesn't have anything to do with family relations. And speaking of the Shining Knight, guys, well, while he was the title of this episode, he wasn't exactly the main focus, but he still played a very big part of the episode to make us understand more on what this new weapon is the ISA is doing and what kind of effects it can have on people. Because it turns out Shining Knight was a victim of one of Brainwave's own attacks when it was revealed as he was meeting up with Pat that he has something of brain damage or hallucination problems. I'm going to say both because I can't really know what exactly that word it is I'm looking for when it comes to Shining Knight's state and stuff. But when he finally met up with Pat and revealed himself and stuff, before finally calming down, he kept having these illusions that Pat, along with Beth and Rick, who were with him at the time, were Dragon King and some of his henchmen, who it turns out Shining Knight was after all this time while he was in Blue Valley. But unfortunately, it didn't go so well, and while he didn't exactly say, it's pretty clear he was attacked. He was attacked inside the head that gave him brain damage to where he was the way he is now. And yeah, the mere fact that if he can be like that just by Brainwave himself, I can only imagine what the ASA will really do to all these people when Brainwave's power goes into their heads and makes them do who knows what. Oh man, that just makes you can't wait to see the final battle with the final 2 episodes. But now having said all that, we gotta move into Courtney and her father here. Because yeah, in this episode, with her meeting her father, makes it a big reality check for Courtney. And she didn't take it so well. Because when Sam finally showed up here, and he revealed himself to be Courtney's father, she didn't believe it at first. And yeah, it led into, at first, the first meeting, a very awkward meeting. Because, well, Sam showed up without first informing them that he's coming, and then actually just saying that, and with Courtney already in this head knowing who her father is, and finally seeing the guy who actually says it, you can understand why she's feeling like this. Also, if y'all seen the promos, y'all know he said the same. If y'all seen the promos, I think y'all can all come to a breakdown if y'all have done a breakdown. You know what? I actually need to start doing breakdowns of some of these promos myself. Just because I like breaking things down. But back on track here, I saw people's breakdowns, and even my breakdown was similar to theirs in thinking that she doesn't believe this guy is her father, because as I said, she was already fixated on the idea that Starman was her father. So if this guy's saying that he's her father, then all this time she's been living in this sort of fairy tale, as it were, because that's exactly what she said later on in this episode, and that she's not actually who she thought she was, a hero like her father. But But even still, though, as we saw, this episode was to show her that heroes can come from anywhere. They don't have to be related to anybody. And it's funny how she didn't realize that, considering how two of her friends have no relation whatsoever to the previous JSA members. That being Wildcat and Dr. Midnight, who now Yolanda and Beth have taken over the mantle of. But then again, in their defense, though, they're not like her. They got their parents, whereas Courtney didn't have her father with her growing up and stuff. And that's kind of one of the weaknesses here is that is shown with people who don't have a parent in their life, and then suddenly they come into their life and stuff. That's kind of a weakness that's with them and stuff, and it's kind of used to their advantage here. But at least here for Courtney, it wasn't used to that big of an advantage. More like just in a way it was used to show her who her real father is, which was a very big disappointment for her, because as she was rejecting it, but after having some time and talking with Pat privately, she decided to get a little time to talk to him, spend a little time with him. And yeah, no surprise that during the entire time she was being very quiet, very awkward, almost like she returned to who she was before she found the staff in episode 1, being all quiet and like loathing and stuff. But it's understandable, let's face it. But I gotta admit, I love the acting by the girl who plays Courtney. I'm sorry I can't remember the name off the top of my head here, but I definitely love how she was acting. She was killing it there with how some teenagers would act like when their lost parent finally comes back in their lives and they really don't know what to say or do. They kind of just go with the flow, as it were. And she did just that, go with the flow, until finally the disappointment hit her when he told her about how the locket he has along with the locket she has is worth a lot of money, and that he was wondering if she could give it to him so he could use it to buy some money and make a house and stuff out of everything. Of course, when he did that request, Courtney saw him for who he was, but she kind of was already given the idea when he was telling her about everything about him and stuff. But when after all that happened and going up to Pat, oh, I love that scene right there, because it reminded me of the panel from when in the comic books when she met her father and found out how big of a con artist he is and a member of the Royal Flush Gang and stuff, that afterwards she ran back to Pat and finally accepted him as her father and hugged him and stuff. And that can parallel in this scene right here where she hugged him after he left her, and Pat was saying, I'm here for you, whatever you need. Hey, yell at anyone, get mad at anyone, anything. And then she just runs up and hugs him, like a final symbolization that she finally accepts him as her father. Even though ever since episode 1 and 2, she's finally started to come respect Pat more than what she did during the beginning of the first episode when the series started. But it's still nice of her to finally have that good moment to really solidify that father-daughter bond that those two have for each other. And as I've said before, Luke and Breck play off each other very well when it comes to those two. But I also loved how Pat confronted Sam with what he did in taking that locket from her, when he knows for a fact that Corey loves that locket as she's wearing it all the time. And boy, it was sweet to see him give that man a slug to the face, because he deserved it. That guy's just a jerk. But hey, if anything, at least finally that side of her can be put to rest, and we don't have to worry about her saying that Starman's my dad, this and that and this. I mean, it was annoying, but I understood it was a vulnerability. Kind of like Billy Batson when he finally met his mother. Even though he kept going to one foster place after another, he wouldn't stop searching for his mother until he finally found her and found out who she really was and stuff. And And even though it was disappointing, at least gave him closure to realizing who his real family is and can put that part of his life to rest. And that's exactly it is with Courtney right there. But with that but even though she was finally able to put that side of her to rest, she didn't face a different challenge as the staff was no longer glowing for her. That's where it led into this unworthy Thor story side that I mentioned earlier, and how like since the staff's not working for her, it's because the staff doesn't think she's worthy because she thought that it was belonged to Starman. She was Starman's daughter, and that's the only reason the staff chose her. But no, that's not why the staff chose her. The staff chose her because she has the heart of a hero, and we found out actually where that came from. It comes from her mother. Because why? Well, even though she was mad and was looking like she wanted to run away from Blue Valley after learning about the bad people who live in that town, in this episode, she's actually showing she wants to stay and help protect these people in Blue Valley, even if she doesn't know all of them that well. Showing that, yeah, this is where she gets her hero side from her mother. Because even her and her mother later on had a heart to heart and stuff, where she's saying that she wants to stay in Blue Valley to help these people, but at the same time she's scared and thinking she might lose her daughter, who's being the superhero taking on these dangerous challenges, which is understandable since it's really supposed to be a little reverse, and that the kid's supposed to be worried when their mothers or parents take on jobs like firemen or policemen and stuff like that. That's what it's supposed to be like right there. But no, and this one, roles are reversed, and that's pretty cool there too. But yeah, eventually though, Pat also told Courtney about what Sir Justin said about how heroes can come from anywhere. And after giving it some time to think, she realized she needed Pat and Barbara with her as she lifted up the staff. It took some time, but after finally showing that she believes in herself again, that staff started to glow, and boy did I love the background music playing during that time, and as it slowly kept glowing brighter and brighter and brighter, that it even short-circuited some of those lamps in the basement. It truly was a great sight to see, especially with that last scene of her smiling with that staff glowing brighter than ever. It was like really saying that I am Stargirl. I liked how that expression she has, as that's exactly what she was saying, as she really embraces who she is, not because of who her parents are, because of who she is. Oh, I love that. But now with that settled though, they now have to finally tell Mike everything, because everyone in that family but Mike knows. But that's because Mike, they just won't tell him. Mostly because they haven't had a chance to. It's kind of been at a bad time. And unfortunately though, it's made Mike think that what's going on here is his own fault here. But I don't say they should tell him it's because of that. It's because of what the ISA are going to do. Because, as we know, Brainwave got his memories back, and during an assembly to remember the loss of Henry, who I don't think is dead, but I'm just going to go with the flow for that for now. Henry's father was there, and he talked to Courtney through their minds to let her know that he remembers everything. And now that he's remembered everything, he's going to go after her. But he didn't go after her right away because Jordan didn't want him to. Why? Well, because after revealing who Courtney was and that the Whitmore family are the ones who are opposing the ISA, Jordan was showing hesitation. Why? Well, because as we've seen throughout this season, he's shown that Barbara's been having an effect on Jordan, like bringing a side of him back that he hasn't had since his wife had passed away. Because when we look back at Jordan when we first met him, he was ice cold. He didn't hesitate to put people in danger or kill members of his own team, such as the Wizard or the Wizard's own son, Joey. And then throughout this episode, we were showing that while he's still with his whole Project of America and making the people who were the reason for his wife's death pay and stuff, he was showing a bit of more of his humane side, almost like he wasn't going to be doing what he did back in the first few episodes. But after finally looking into Barbara's history on her computer, he changed his mind. But he also told Henry that while he has changed his mind, he also told him to go after Mike as well. Kill Mike as well, because he believes that Mike knows and that he doesn't want anyone carrying on the legacy of the heroes. That's why they need to tell Mike, and I hope they tell him at the beginning of next week's episode, because not only does Mike have every right to know now, but also with him also being a target, he needs to know quickly here before he's already attacked, because one could only wonder, how's he going to react knowing that all this time they were keeping it from him and stuff. Pretty much the same reaction Barbara had at last week's episode. And yet, who knows, maybe he might still find it cool, but a little disappointed they never told him and stuff. But we'll find out come next week's episode. But I definitely can't wait, because we are now going to be into the final 2 episodes. That is a 2-parter episode of the season finale. And I just can't wait to see how the showdown's going to go down. And how it will conclude for some of these characters going forward for season 2. And it also gives us hint to what will come in season 2. But until then, guys, I'm going to go ahead and leave it all at that. And hey, if you're enjoying my videos, all you got to do is click that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to be notified when I make more videos. And until then, MegaGeekMixer signing out. Bye!